What's happening? I'm Adam, this is Go To Outdoors, and welcome back. Today what I've got for you is a bit of a review of the pack that I carried on the first part of my Appalachian Trail journey, the Osprey Aether AG 70. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so why don't we start with the top, and let's work down from there. First part, of course, being that it is a large internal frame pack from Osprey, most of them do come with what's called a brain, this top portion of the pack right here. It has two internal pockets, two pockets. The internal one is much larger. The external one is a bit smaller. The back portion right here will also pull out and become a bit of a backpack. You can actually take this entire section off of this backpack and turn this into a day pack on its own. Let me do that for you here real quick. Now, one thing to mention, on this, there are two separate female endings that this clip from the strap could potentially go into. The bigger, lighter colored gray one is the one that actually came off of the pack. You're going to want to use the smaller, darker gray one for this. Like so. So, now that this is all set up as its own nice little day pack, there are a couple things I want to mention. First, because it is the brain, you still do have these two pockets. You still have the outside pocket and the inside pocket that are just the brain. The interior of this little day pack is surprisingly spacious. You know, you could fit a couple snacks in there, you can pop a couple water bottles in there if you need to, or as an added bonus, there is still a hydration pack. You know, a slot for a hydration pouch if you wanted to use this, if you wanted to run a tube, do something like that. This is a shockingly capable little day pack as just what they thought of to throw onto the top of the bigger pack. And in addition, to make it even better, the straps are fully mesh, so you're not going to sweat quite as bad. And they added a sternum strap for you. It doesn't have the built-in whistle that's on the main pack for the sternum strap clip, but all in all, this is a fantastic little addition that you can carry or use just by itself. Alright, and once you're done using it for a day pack, all you have to do is pop it back into its little top pocket right here, and then we can get it reattached to the main pack. Okay, so now that everything's stowed back in there, it's really fairly simple to get this attached back onto the main pack. What you're going to do is take one of these top straps that you had. It is on the opposite end. On the bottom here, you have the darker gray clip and the lighter gray clip that you were using to put the shoulder straps from the pack to make this into a day pack. So now you're spinning this back around and you're going to find the male side of the lighter clip. On the back of the pack itself, you're going to notice this little piece of strapping. You're going to want to take the male end of the clip on the top of the brain and thread it underneath there. So give me 1 second and I'll do that right quick. Okay, there we go. Now that it's under there, it's a simple matter of putting this clip right back into here, making sure that's snug. Then you rinse and repeat for the other side. One thing that I probably should mention before I get this clipped in is the top strap here, you'll notice, has a lot of webbing. You have a lot of adjustability to get this closer to or farther away from the top of the pack itself. I tend to run it kind of close just because I like keeping everything from banging around too much while I'm wearing the pack. So let me tighten this up. So on all the packs that I've used, seen, or tried out, they all have a really good, solid, well-built grab handle. And this goes for Osprey, it goes for North Face, it goes for Mountain Gear, Hyperlite, any of the brands that you're going to be likely to find. You want to have a good sturdy top strap on here because if you're ever, in a shelter on the Appalachian Trail or any other place that has a built-in shelter, a lot of times you're going to find that folks have hung a little rope, usually something covering a stick, a horizontal stick, that you just thread this onto to hang your pack at night to keep the mice and everything else off of it. So I really like it when a pack has a good, sturdy grab handle with a good enough gap that you can thread a stick in there, and it makes it easier to do that at night. Alright, so on the straps themselves, you're going to see that on the very top here, you do have load lifters. I like having load lifters I keep them all the way tightened up because this pack is just a shade on the big side for me. But what they do for you is actually they pull your pack forward if they're on your back. So if you have a big load, if you want to try and get more of the pressure off of your hips, you just tighten those up and it brings the load for you, helps get your center of gravity right more in line with your feet. I really, really like that feature. In terms of the back panel itself, you'll notice that it is very, very lightweight mesh. I shouldn't say lightweight, it's very breathable mesh. This top panel here actually has some Velcro. So you can slide this portion inside here. You can move it up and down to try and give you a little bit of adjustability between that and the hip belt to make it fit a little bit better on your back and on your waist, because you don't want to have all of your weight on your shoulders. You want to be able to split that between your shoulders and your waist. But as for this mesh panel itself, Osprey calls it their anti-gravity system. What it does is when it's under tension, when the hip belt comes out, this puts pressure, pulls this whole thing off your back so you don't sweat quite as much when you're carrying a big load or when it's nasty outside and hot and humid, gross. You're still going to sweat. This doesn't prevent everything. I tend to soak through this no matter what. But that being said, I would much rather have this kind of breathability on a pack than have a pack that doesn't have it. All right, in terms of the shoulder straps themselves, you'll notice they're fairly wide. They're fairly thick. These are really, really good shoulder straps. They have a good sternum strap that goes across the middle. And the other thing about Osprey packs, and actually some other pack companies now, but Osprey was the first I knew of personally that did this, is they added a safety whistle right onto the clip. It's not great. It's better than nothing. And hey, it's just fun to have. All right, on the left shoulder strap, what they actually included is this right here. This is the top part of their trekking pole retention system. The bottom part of that is on the left side of the pack on the bottom. So you just pop your handles through here, put the bottoms through here, and you can just cinch this down and keep everything in place. For the bottom of the pack itself, you got a really good, sturdy, wide, supportive hip belt. The bonus to this particular hip belt, it has pockets. I really, really, really like having side pockets on a pack. This is, for me, I carried snacks, sunscreen, and quick and dirty stuff in this side. My right side, I carried my Bluetooth headphones and my cell phone. I just had it sticking out of here. I wanted something quick. If I needed to take a picture right quick, it was always handy, right easy to get to. And, they're not the biggest pockets, but they are fairly reasonable. Now, bear in mind, these are not waterproof zippers, and there's really no part on this pack that is waterproof by itself, so that's something to keep in mind. I carried, like I said, my cell phone and some electronics in here. Couldn't hurt to have those in a Ziploc if you're not going to be using them all the time. Another feature of the hip belt itself, Osprey adds, the ability to change these out. If you happen to lose weight while you're out on the pack and you want to get yourself a spare hip belt just to replace it, you simply undo these clips right here. The whole thing slides out and you could pop a new one in there and boom, you're good to go. I haven't lost enough weight to get a smaller belt yet, but the option's there when I finally do. All right, now that we've gone over the back of the pack, the part that nobody sees, let's flip this bad boy over onto the side that everybody does see. This is where everything important happens to be. All right, again, working from the top down, you've got the brain. That's what we went over first, so we don't need it anymore. It pretty much cinches down with the two straps. Let's flip that over. We don't need it anymore. Okay, so after we unclip the brain and flip it back, these straps can actually be used. I forgot to mention this earlier. When you don't have the brain on here, this is what cinches those down on here. You can actually invert the corners of the brain itself. Clip that same thing in there and cinch it down. So again, you don't have to have the brain on the pack at all times. A lot of folks tend to actually just chuck these off their pack anyway because they do weigh a couple ounces by themselves. If you don't need the storage capacity, you don't need to carry it. So that's kind of a bonus. All right, we're underneath the brain now. This is the top flap of the main body of the pack itself. So you pull that back. There's one really quick and easy to use drawstring. Helps cinch things down. Real easy to get open and one-handed. Okay, so the inside of the main compartment, the first thing you're going to notice is this red strap. This is kind of your compression strap to keep everything inside the pack a little bit cinched down for you. Let's top flap is getting in the way of everything. So let's turn it inside out, shall we? In here, this little clip right here is the same that they have actually on the day pack part itself inside of the brain. That is the little clip that you thread through the top of a hydration pack. Osprey has their own, you know, you got Platypus, you got several different brands that you could use in there. And the pocket that's right beneath that is going to be the pocket for your water bladder pouch. So it's real easy, real compact. If you don't use it, the elastic in here keeps it tight in the back, so you're not likely to have anything fall into there unless you want to put it in there as extra divider or storage or something like that. All right, so there's a lot of room in here. 70 liters. It's quite a bit. But having all that room doesn't really mean that much if you can't get to it. So what we're going to do is come to the outside of the pack. Right below the cinch strap, you're going to find this clip right here. This actually helps with compression. It helps secure the load that you have in this external pocket. But we're going to get to the external pockets here in a moment. For right now, let's undo this clip. And on the outside, there are two more compression straps. We're going to undo both of those as well. Once you do that, you can get access to this very, very large zippered portion right here. It goes from the top right corner of the back of the pack all the way down to the bottom left corner down here. It gives you a very, very wide open access to the inside of the pack itself, all the way down to the first fabric divider that is inside. Now this fabric divider we're going to get back to here in a second. But for right now, you have access to pretty much everything you need. If you don't want to undo the top here and you need to zip something out real quick, if you have things in different Ziplocs through the back of your pack, like I sometimes did, and you just wanted to grab one thing without having to unpack everything, this is a really handy feature. Okay, now that we have that zipped up again, we can take a look back at this main pocket on the outside of the pack that the top clip was undone when we started to unzip the main body of the pouch. But this pocket itself is very large. The outside entirety of it is a very flexible, very stretchy mesh material. I really like this on the back here. This is where I kept my raincoat, it's where I kept my water filtration supplies, and it's where I kept my ditty bag in case I had to dig a hole. You know what that's about. We're not getting into that here. The other pockets on the outside, on the left hand side behind you while you're wearing the pack, there is a very large storage pocket. And in the front, there's a gap right here. There is an identical pocket on the other side of the pack. Very deep. Now it's mine, pretty much 2/3 of my forearm, and it also has the hole in the front here. That hole actually makes it easy. You can just reach back a smart water bottle, slip it in, and you don't have to take the pack off every single time you want to get a drink if you're just drinking out of a water bottle and not using shoulder pouches or not using a water filter or water bladder system. Now we have everything buckled up again, and like I was saying before, this strap and this strap on the bottom, in addition to the top of this outside pocket strap that is up at the top, those are all compression straps. They're kind of handy if you have a lot of bulky stuff that will compress. You just cinch them all down. It makes things more manageable, and it's a great thing to have to kind of minimize how much your pack sticks out behind you when you're walking. Directly underneath the panel we were using though, you're going to see these two bottom straps that come off of the bottom of the pack itself. Those clip into a matching pair of clips just outside of the bottom pocket. Now what I did when I started my trek, I was using a Thermarest Z-Lite Sole closed cell foam kind of accordion style sleeping pad. These get plenty big enough that you can pop it in there, cinch it down, and it'll hold on the bottom portion of the outside of your pack out of the way. What I noticed actually was that helped my pack stand straight up. If I took it off and set it down, just having something sticking out there, I didn't want to fall over. The other thing that people use those straps for that I noticed was if they were carrying a larger pack or had or a larger tent, I should say, and the tent happened to have external stakes or anything like that, they pop that there as well. Keeps it out of their way. All right, so underneath those two straps, like I was saying before, there is this bottom pocket. This bottom pocket, for me, came in very handy. What I did was I put in the bottom of here, I kept my tent. You'll notice the inside of this is kind of dirty. It is what it is. I kept my tent stakes in there, I kept my tent in there, and I kept my sleeping bag in here, or I should say my quilt. It's just a large pocket that actually goes up to this divider right here. You can use this to compress a little bit of anything that can. And it came in handy for me because once I had this filled up, I was able to get a good solid base so nothing else would slip down the sides, because this divider in here does have gaps on the side that go into the main body of the pack itself. So all in all, what are my impressions of this pack? I think it's a great pack. It's durable. You know, the bottom of this material is extremely tough. I've, kind of scraped up the webbing on the bottom. But again, I've got several hundred miles on this pack in rocks, in roots, in wood, and everything else. And it's held up pretty well. Before I did take this out onto my Appalachian Trail hike this year, this was my hunting pack. It's just big enough to carry everything you're going to need for a couple days, maybe even a week or more in the woods if you want to carry that much. It can carry a lot of weight. The most I've ever had in this thing at one time, the weight including the pack, was 63 pounds. I don't recommend carrying that much because it's not fun. But I'm just saying, this is very, very good. It's a good durable frame, internal frame pack that can carry a lot of weight. And the fact that there's good padding and really wide shoulder straps on here make carrying that weight a lot easier. So while we have all of these great features, we have the accessibility, we have all the customizable features, we have the zippers, we have the pockets, we have the pouches. All those things are fantastic on this pack, but unfortunately adding all those zippers, adding all this extra webbing, adding all these features comes at a fairly steep weight penalty. Empty, this pack weighs 5.7 pounds. That's not light. That is not ultralight by any stretch of the imagination. It's durable. It's a great pack. I'm not taking anything away from that, but it is a heavy, heavy option. It's not the cheapest pack. I happen to get it on sale at $230, but retail for this is about $310 last time I checked. If you know what you're in for and this is what you want to get, that's a fantastic price at the on sale price. But for full price, for not a lot much more, if you wanted to try and get into that entry level of the ultralight packs, about another 40 or 50 bucks can get you there. So if weight is not a concern, go ahead and get this pack. Again, I'm still going to use this pack for when I'm going hunting or doing something where I know I'm going to be carrying a lot of extra weight, a lot of extra gear. This is a fantastic pack for that. But while there are several pros of this pack, in addition to the weight, there is also one glaring con. It's not waterproof. You do also have to carry a pack cover on top of here. In addition to, probably like I do in all of my packs, put a bag liner. I use a big black compactor garbage bag on the inside of all my packs just to give it a little extra layer of waterproofing. But you're also going to want to likely have a nylon rain cover or something else to carry along on the outside, because the internal garbage bags don't cover what's inside of the brain or any of the pockets or anything else. So something to consider there. The other thing is, because you do have to carry that, you have to add those few ounces of the backpack cover to the weight of 5.7 pounds that are already here. So you're looking closer to 6 pounds for just your pack. That's not trivial considering you want to try and get your weight as low as possible if you're ever going to be doing any hiking. Again, I carried this for several hundred miles. I had no problem with it, but I did switch to a lighter pack for that reason. This is not a light pack. But all in all, what do I think of this pack? I really do recommend it. If you're just getting into backpacking, if you think you're going to be carrying a lot of bulky things, if you're going to be carrying a lot more weight on a shorter hike or a longer, camping trip kind of thing, that you're not going to be doing any longer miles, absolutely carry this pack. It is a fantastic, it's a durable, it's a reliable pack. And the other bonus for being an Osprey, if you ever do anything to any part of this that breaks, rips, tears, does anything like that, Osprey does have a fantastic lifetime warranty, and they will get you fixed up in the event you bust one of their pieces of gear. So that's what I got for you today. Thanks again for watching this review. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. Like I always say, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.